All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of Saber Sim's DFS office hours. It is Monday, October 17th of 2022. Got a showdown slate today, and then we got NBA kicking off tomorrow. Really looking forward to it myself. Got a two-gamer tomorrow, followed by a full slate on Wednesday. For those of you who haven't spent much time in the app today, I can tell you that NBA simulations have been run and projections are loaded in the app. So go head on over and check those out if you've been itching to start running some NBA lineups. So with that being said, we're going to get the show kicked off today. For those of you who are new here, this is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any questions that come in via Discord or live YouTube chat. If you're not a member of our Discord community, there's a link in the description below to join. If you are new to SaberSim, there's also a link to a free 7-day, no strings attached free trial at sabersim.com. But that being said, everybody, we're going to get started by going over the weekly max challenge and the winners for this week. So for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, we have been running this giveaway since the beginning of the NFL season, and it's called our weekly max challenge. Rules to join are down here. You basically got to wear the SaberSim avatar, max out the mini max contest on DraftKings, sign up using our form, and you will be eligible for all of our awesome prizes. So there is still time to get Yeti cups. I suggest starting very soon. I think this upcoming week is week 7. So if you haven't started yet, you can still get in on the action. You can get in on the weekly prizes and all of that good stuff. So that being said, we are going to look to see who was our top finisher this week. And that is Neil Jaworski with a 4th place finish and 208.36 points. Neil, congratulations. I've seen you in here asking questions, always trying to get better. I know Pippin Ain't Easy had a sweat going there for a while, was sitting in like 3rd or 4th after the morning games ended. So just really excited to see members of the community having success with the tools, always trying to get better. So congratulations, Neil. And we are going to go over to our wheel of names. I brought in the names already. I'll hit the shuffle a couple times for everyone here. I know we like the shuffle. If you want to make sure your name is here, we post a link to the sheet that has all of the names in the office hours channel before the stream goes live. And it's also tagged in the NFL Discord channel. But that being said, we're going to spin the wheel to see who gets free tickets to next week's mini max. And here we go. All right. And our winner is Rough 'em Up, wins the free tickets to next week's mini max. Congratulations, Rough 'em Up. Gonna make a note here. You are the giveaway winner. And let's go over the prizes. So Neil, being the highest scorer for the week, will get 1 free month of SaberSim, a SaberSim t-shirt, and an entry into our end of the season free roll. So awesome stuff there for Neil. And then Rough 'em Up will get free entries to next week's mini max. That wraps up our mini max, our weekly max challenge giveaway for this week. Make sure you get in on the action next week and keep playing so you can accumulate those end of the season prizes, everybody. So that being said, I see Neil is here now. Hey, Neil, good job one more time. And with that being said, we are going to get SaberSim pulled up and we are going to jump into our questions. A lot of questions coming in over the weekend. Happy to see it. Glad to have a full stream for you guys today. I know we are going to have more questions with basketball starting up. So really just want to get into all of those things and answer your guys' questions. So I'm going to pull up SaberSim right now and we're going to hit this first question. So first question in Discord coming in from Gilliman. And the question is, how do you set a rule that says I only want to stack D plus wide receiver? I am also looking for help on how to say I want at least one player /D in the afternoon slate. last, how do you set up a rule that says I want QB plus tight end stacks? Okay, so Gilliman, just couple questions about stacks. We can hit all of these. We're going to go over to the afternoon slate and just run the rules on this slate. So, whether you're playing the main slate, the early, the afternoon, as long as it's a classic slate, really any slate, like the rules dashboard is gonna be the same regardless of the slate you're playing on, except for like on Showdown when you have like captain and flex positions. So that's like the only nuance there, like Showdown versus classic. But for the most part, the classic slates are all gonna look the same as far as the rules. So okay, we'll do one at a time. How do I set a rule saying I only want this to stack defense plus wide receiver? Okay, so what you would do is you would go to I would say you go to stack basic. I think there's a couple ways to do a lot of rules. So I'm just going to show you one or two, but these can be accomplished a couple of different ways. So stack basic, say at least two, and you would say uncheck these other positions, and you would just leave wide receivers and your defense. So you're saying that, every single lineup, the defense must be paired with the wide receiver. And this is exactly how you would set it up. So you just stack basic, at least two, wide receiver and defense. The only thing I think with this is that you might be able to get just two wide receivers and no defense because it's not taking into account both. So I would try this way out, see what your lineups look like. I think you're going to get to a lot more of what you want than what you're getting to now. But let's try this a little differently. Let's try the advanced way. So if you want one of each, what I would do is I would just hit the drop. So it's saying greater than or equal to. So then I would put 1. And then for defense, I would also put 1. So you know that you're always going to have at least one wide receiver and my defense on my primary team stack. And I think this is probably a better way of doing the rule that we just talked about. And then when I save this rule, if I come down here, I can look at it. But yeah, no, this is how I would do it. An advanced stacking rule, checking the positions specifically that you want. That way you get exactly what you want. So I think this is probably the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. I do want to see really quick if we could do this a different way. So what you could do is an automatic group rule. No, yeah, this is going to be similar to stacking where you say like use at least 2 and then you do wide receiver and defense. But I think what's going to happen is that this is going to be the same as like the basic stack rule. So I would definitely stick with the stacking rule type, advanced selection method, go in and you could be more meticulous with the positions that you're getting here. So, wanted to kind of walk through the different ways to do that and see what we can come up with. But I think that this is option A for sure. All right. Second part of the question said, how do you set up a rule that says I want QB plus tight end stacks? Okay. So we can hit this too. What I would do is for this one, I would go to stack basic. You could I would just stay in advanced. Yeah. So stay in advanced and then make the QB 1 and then make the tight end 1 there. And then that way, that every stack you have, you'll have at least 1 QB and 1 tight end from the same team because it says primary team. So that they're going to be from the same team. So if you want to be like really meticulous with your positions, I think that is a very good way to do it. Or you could come in here because you can only use 1 QB per lineup. This works better as a basic rule than the last rule did because with the wide receivers, we could use more than 1. But since you can only use 1 quarterback, you can come in here and say stack at least 2 QB and tight end. Well, you'll have to get a tight end because that you can only use 1 quarterback. So in this instance, you don't need to be so specific with the advanced stuff. So a couple different options. It works either way. and I would give those a shot, see if you have any issues, and then let me know. But happy to answer any more questions along those lines. So, okay. You also said I'm also looking for help on how to say I want at least one player / defense in the afternoon slate. Okay. I think we got all your questions. Gilliman, let me know if I missed anything. And for now, we're going to move on to the next question. So this one is coming in from ST Cohen. And the question is, I have a question about filling contests. I created 40 lineups, but entered 80 contests. I wanted each lineup to be entered into 2 contests, 1 GPP and 1 satellite, but that didn't happen. I ended up with lineups in 2 satellite and lineups in 2 GPPs. Is there a certain fill type I should have chosen to prevent this in the future? Okay, so we could talk and do like a little entry editor walkthrough, no problem there. What I will say is like it'll be hard to do exactly what you're asking for without having your lineup file, because what it's ultimately going to come down to, and let's hover over to a slate that I have entries for. So I'm gonna show this as the showdown for tonight because I know I have entries, but we will do it this way to make things easy. So, okay, what I would do is I would come into the home screen, I would run your process, build your lineups the normal way you do. And then when you get to the fill entries is where we're going to have to be a little meticulous with like exactly which contests we include and which ones we don't include in our line in our filling method. So, okay, we get the lineups, boom, we make our changes, we save the lineups, and we go to fill. So let's say that you had so for instance, I don't have any satellites in here, so I can't show you exactly what you wanted to do. But let's say, I'm going to change this to 40 and I'm going to save, and then I'm going to treat my 20 maxes here as the 80 you were talking about. So I have enough 20 max contests to do what we were asking. So you want to put, we'll say the top 2 are GPPs and then the bottom 2 are satellites. So what I would do is I would uncheck the satellites and then I would uniquely random or uniquely rank fill the top 2 contests. And then if I wanted to do that, let's say I use unique rank. So I hit fill. Okay, so I know that 1 through 20 went into the top and then 21 through 40 went into the bottom. So then I know every lineup got used once. Now I would uncheck these and then check the next 2 20s and then do the same thing. So then now I know that these 40 lineups are the same as these 40, and each lineup got used exactly once in the set. So like once for GPP and then once for satellite. I know it's not exactly, it might not make as much sense because it doesn't say satellite here, but we're just assuming it is. So that's what I would do if you wanted to be very meticulous about it. So I would give that a shot, try it out, let me know if that works for you. But I think that's the best way to think about it. And yeah, give that a shot. Let me know. So hope I answered your question there. Moving on to TBK. And this question came in yesterday. It should be a quick one. So it says, good evening. By chance, do we know when the simulations will go live for NBA? Right now, it's grayed out. So TBK, I can confirm that the NBA sims are live. I believe they got done around like 2:30 Eastern today. So the team has been making some updates. Seemed like a sim ran about an hour ago, but the projections are up. You can click on players, you can see their distributions. So I would say, feel comfortable getting into the app, starting to run some test builds and seeing what everything looks like. I know like there's some cleanup, like the check mark shouldn't be here. There are no confirmed lineups a day before. So the team is still fine tuning the NBA just workflow in the app at the moment. But as far as like projections, we would never put out a set of projections that we don't stand behind. So I think you should feel comfortable starting to build your lineups and just running some test builds, seeing what the builder's giving you. I would highly recommend coming back tomorrow and doing it once lineups are indeed confirmed. But you can now go in and start messing around with NBA, which is really exciting. If you ask me, I'm a big NBA guy and had a lot of success last year, hoping I could have some more success this year. But anyways, moving on to Tim's question. Hey guys, first season with Saber Sim for NBA. Welcome, Tim. Happy to have you. Can you go over when the Sims run for the slate and when is the last Sim run and ownership updated, etc.? I know a lot of it is based on injury news, but if everything is perfect, is the final Sim run, say, a half hour before tip off, like NFL is 1 hour before kickoff? Thanks for your help. Okay. Feel like I kind of commented on this on the last answer without knowing about it. But, Tim, so what happens is that starting lineups get released usually best case like 30 minutes before game time, worst case, closer to lock within like 5 minutes. But nevertheless, as soon as those lineups are released, we run sims and you can see when the sims run. If you're in the Discord channel, you go to NBA lineup alerts and it'll tell you when it'll show you like when the lineup gets released, when the sim starts. It starts like almost instantaneously as soon as we get that trigger that the lineup has been confirmed. And then once the sim runs, you'll come in here, you could see it run in the NBA lineup alerts channel. You could update your projections. This timestamp will get updated, and then the team will get a check mark, and their status in the app will also be a check mark, green check mark down here, showing that this lineup is confirmed to be on the court to start the game. So I would say, it's always safe to come in, check the teams on top, see whose lineups have been confirmed, and then run your final sim from there. I would highly suggest running and putting in entries before then, just because lineups can come out so late. It's important that the worst thing you can do is have no players in your lineup in DraftKings. So I would always recommend putting something in as a placeholder and just kind of waiting until those final sim runs to do your final lineup. But always get something in well before lock. I would suggest like 30 minutes before, just run a build, get the latest information that we have in the app into your entries file and into your contest, and then hang around until those final sims run, and then you can firm up your lineups. So that's my best advice to get you going. NBA is a fun and exciting and stressful season, so it should be interesting. All right. Next question from GR in the Discord. And the question says, any update on the betting tool? Will there be prop bets at least? So good question. I know that we did the prop plan last year. We were sending out the Discord notifications, and a lot of people had a lot of good success with it. It is something we want to bring back. Right now, we are in a big push to finish all of the work that is happening in beta.sabersim.com. I know Matt has been putting out messages in Discord telling everybody that we're working on some really cool things behind the scenes. And we released the beta version to our subscribers to try it out, to let us know if they're having any issues, to just kind of try to see what we're doing behind the scenes. So what I could say is, like, I know the betting plan is in our roadmap. I just don't think it's going to be there to start the season. And until we get some of these other things that we want to get done first, it'll be behind those things. So stay tuned. Any updates that I get, I will make sure to pass along to all of you on the betting plan. But I'm excited to see it come back as well. Okay, next question from AB Smooth. And the question is, would anyone be able to go over how they use Saber Sim for NBA? I'm used to using Fantasy Cruncher and sorting through a spreadsheet, so I am excited for Saber Sim to help save me time. AB Smooth, it sounds like it's your first season using Saber Sim for NBA. I think you're going to be very, very pleased with just like the workflow. The build speed improvements that Matt has been talking about are going to be huge when lineups get released really, really late. I think you're going to get a lot out of our late swap tool. I will say, we have some resources on our YouTube channel where we have historically done NBA videos, and I'm going to hover over there to show you right now. Give me 1 second. So, okay. Just trying to pull this up really quickly. Okay, got it. So if you go to our YouTube, you go to playlists. There is a playlist called NBA Daily Fantasy, and you will see there's 10 videos here. And, we have the 6 secrets to beating NBA Daily Fantasy. Most of these are all from last year or prior years. But I know like Jordan had Max on. And what I can also say is that Jordan is working to see if Max can come on again this season and talk about NBA DFS prior to the season kicking off. I don't have all the details on that, so I don't want to say anything about any time slots or anything that I'm not supposed to. But stay tuned. Jordan is working on getting a interview with Max. Max is a very busy guy, busy winning Millie Makers every Thursday. So just kidding, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get that stream going. But I would check out the resources from last year. Some of these are shorter, 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 18 minutes. This was a really good one. This was also a really good one, how to beat daily fantasy basketball like a DFS pro. So I would check these out and think this is a great place to start and go from there, and stay tuned for any new 2022 specific content. So that's my best advice there. Check those things out. And we are going to keep the show moving. Got a lot of questions today, so I want to make sure we get to them all. Going to bring the app back on screen and move on to this next question from Neil. And Neil said, can you go over a high-level overview of this Min Unique update that was pushed out yesterday? Yes, happy to do that. I think it's really awesome, and I am excited to use it in my process more. I didn't really use it that much on Sunday, I will say that. But, I've been talking with people in the community, people on the team about, best use cases for it. So I think I have like a pretty good understanding of some of the best ways to use it. I think it's like a really neat feature. So let's run some lineups for yesterday's main slate. And once we get these pulled up, we could talk a little more about it. But for those of you who haven't heard of the update yet, what we were doing, wow, we just built 500 lineups in a couple words. And this is the beta version. I can't believe it, everybody. But anyways, we used to have this little box right here that said, min unique, and it would say like default to 1, and you could increase it or decrease it. So what we decided to do was move the min uniques post build. That way it doesn't serve as a builder input and instead serves as like a lineup sorting feature in step 3, which I think was like an awesome idea. So, okay, I think this is the best way I think to use it. If you scroll down, and you'll see your rank 20 lineup is your last lineup in your set of 20. So it says min unique players 1. That means that every lineup can have how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 players in a lineup. Every lineup can share 8 players and have 1 swap, and that would be okay. If you want to be more diverse and you're saying, you know what, I don't like that, it's not diverse enough for me, and I want to have a more diversity within my lineups. So you could change this to 2. And if we change this to 2, what we're going to see is that Saber Sim is going to go back into the pool and find lineups where there's no more than 2 players shared. So it looks like all of our top 20 have at least 2 players different, which is a result of the sim diversity slider and the adjustments there. So you're getting some diversity already. So then let's test this out. Let's push it to 3. Okay, good. We lost lineup 23, we lost lineup 21, and the builder is saying like, okay, if you want 3 players different, we got to get rid of some of these in here. And you can mess with this, and we can see how far we have to go. So we did 4, we're down to 28. We did 5, let's do 5. 49. So, okay, I think this is really cool. And I want to like express how cool this is. So there's 9 players in a lineup. Right now, every single lineup in our top 20 has at least 5 out of the 9 players different. That is what lineup diversity is. And we are only at our worst lineup is lineup 49. So that means within the top 10% of our pool of lineups, we have so much diversity. We have 20 lineups in the top 10% that have 5 different players per lineup. What I think that does is that it makes your days a lot less boom or bust. And it makes like the floor of your portfolio higher. You're less likely to have those huge negative days. And what that is doing is smoothing out your variance to try and help you maintain your bankroll until you get those high finish outcomes. So that's how I would use it. If you were to ask me like what's a good number to set this to, I don't know. It's a personal choice. Do you want to be more concentrated? Are you really high on certain guys? And are you okay like accepting that additional risk? Or like, do you have like a core that you want to play or whatever it may be? Do you want to get spread out? How spread out do you want to get? Do you not want to have more than any player like used once? Do you want every single lineup to be different? You see our exposures just dropped. So, going from 5 uniques to 9, I mean, these are all questions like you kind of have to ask yourself. And I would encourage you to look at the lineups that you're getting. Like look at them, study them, see how they're different, see what quarterbacks are being used when you change this. Like, let's go back to 1. Okay, we have 4 quarterbacks and we're getting a ton of Cooper Rush. And then we go to 5. And then now we're up to 7 quarterbacks. So you really see like how like what exactly is going on here. And I would encourage you to like try it out, mess around with it in the app, see how your player pool changes, see how your exposures change. It's like another way of adjusting exposures without doing it player by player, or you're almost doing it like lineup by lineup. So I think it's like really, really cool feature. I highly encourage you to check it out and see if you could find a way to implement it into your process. Neil said, thanks for going over it. Probably won't use it. People like me are crazy and like to lock Josh Allen in 150. Neil, like that's totally okay. I mean, you could see in this that like, we have 5 min uniques and I still have Christian McCaffrey in 19 out of 20 lineups. So, what you could do is like, okay, Josh Allen, nope, I have to have Josh Allen. You still have, we're only doing 5 out of 9 spots in this scenario. So that's like 4 players that could be used in every single lineup. And then you make sure the rest of your lineup that you're less opinionated about is more diverse and gives you more shots uniquely, I'll say, to get there. So anyways, not something you have to use. I think it's a great addition to managing exposures. That's how I like to think about it. But, try keep an open mind. Maybe you'll like one or 2 things about it. So anyways, we're going to keep rolling here. Phantom asked a question in Discord about NBA. And the question is, with tomorrow's opener being a 2 gamer, would be curious on strategy thoughts. So Phantom, I will say that I haven't really looked at the NBA projections too much yet myself. They just kind of came out a couple hours ago. I'm really interested to dive into these possibly tonight, possibly a little more tomorrow. Like we talked about earlier, I would review some of the NBA content from last season. I think it's like a really good resource. I would, just to kind of freshen up and just kind of remember what the NBA grind is like. I'll say that, 2 game slate, only 4 teams. You gotta be careful with ownership. I mean, that's just something that I always try and think about. I don't know too much about these teams overall. A 5-point spread for the Lakers and Golden State seems like way different than last year. So maybe the Lakers are supposed to be better this year. I have no idea, but I would mess around. I would run some test builds. I would review our content from last year and just try and get those gears going again. So that's where I would start. That's probably where I will start. We already hit on some of those quick hitter videos, the 20-minute, the 18-minute over on our YouTube. So check those out again and get in the app and run some test builds is the best place to start. So, okay. Moving on, got a question from Pippin Ain't Easy. And this question says, what would your preference be on getting more unique lineups using the new geo-mean rule or increasing uniques post-build? Also, would this differ for you in full slates versus short or showdowns? Pippin, this is a great question. You really took the words right out of my mouth. So, going back to NFL, I would say on these classic main slates that me personally, I would prefer to like handle my lineup uniqueness or lineup diversification from within this screen. And like my first go-to would probably be the min unique players box up here. I will say that for showdowns, I feel differently. And for showdowns, I would probably lean more toward the geo mean rule and just like lineup duplication rules in general, because I don't think that, you could have different players in your lineup. That doesn't mean that isn't going to make like your lineups more unique from the field. It'll make them more unique from each other. But, for sports where duplication is important, I do lean more towards those, more toward the rules. I'm sorry. I saw this comment from Matt. I'm just going to touch on it real quickly. Matt said, FYI, we just pushed the beta update live. Try doing a hard refresh on the normal app to see it. Okay, so, got a live announcement for everybody. The beta update is now live in the app. You do not have to use the beta version of Saber Sim to see it. You should be able to log in to Saber Sim normally and see the update, which is really cool. So I'm going to open up my normal version of Saber Sim really quickly to see that. So sorry to cut off the question there. Got really excited when I saw the message. So gonna hop over and see how it looks in the app. So let me get us going really quickly over here. But just going back to the question, just to reiterate one more time, I think like geo mean rules and rules in general are better for trying to be more unique in like showdowns, and then rules or using like the new min uniques feature for classic slates is probably what I would consider a good strategy. So great question though, Pippin, and like really happy to hear that you were thinking about those things differently and asking yourself those hard questions. So I'm happy that you're coming to me with these hard questions. Whenever I have a hard question, I just go to Matt. Matt is probably tired of me bugging him, but no, I'm just kidding. Matt's a great guy, so he's always happy to answer things in the community and in the public channels when he can. So moving on to the next question from Rogue3. Theoretical question for NBA/NHL. If someone is trying to grow their bankroll, should they focus on getting more lineups into the money for any given slate rather than trying to be unique and have a single bink in the top 10? NFL prize pools skew this idea, which is why I asked NHL/NBA. Okay, Rogue, good question. I think this is definitely worth reviewing from time to time. So you have to, we got to like do a little math, not hard math, but for like most GPP contests, the top 20% of the field gets paid out. So that is a event that happens 1 out of 5 times on average. The payout for the like 20th percentile finish is usually double your money. So you're getting paid 2 to 1 on an event that happens at a rate of 5 to 1, which that is not a game you want to play, my friend. So I would highly suggest continuing to use the approach of, we're not trying to just get past the cash line in GPPs. If you want to try and just get past the cash line, try out cash games, but the rake is really high and players are in 2022 are better than ever at building good cash lineups, which is like you might beat the field, but like you got to beat the rake and then some to make some money, which like makes cash really hard. So I would encourage you to continue to follow our DFS profit plan of balancing your contest portfolio of diversifiers and elevators at like a rate that you're comfortable with, that are within our guidelines, and just continuing to grind it out, get as many unique entries in play as possible, and hopefully you can get to that bink sooner than later. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with our DFS profit plan, our data scientists did some awesome research behind the scenes on just like a very what is like a good contest portfolio to play. We have that summarized on our YouTube channel in a 17-minute video here, that where Jordan walks through it and talks about what we call the DFS profit plan. It's a very good technique to use. I use it religiously. I know other people have had a lot of success with it. So I would highly recommend following the DFS profit plan, and, don't get discouraged. You're going to lose more days than you are going to win. I think when Eric was doing this research, and him and Jordan had multiple behind the Sims videos on it. You could find them on our behind the Sims playlists under contest selection. They kind of checked in from every couple weeks throughout this research project. And I believe what Eric said was like, you're a good player who like finishes, who has like a positive expected ROI, probably wins like 8 days in a calendar month. So 30 to 31 days on like a daily sport. So like think of like NBA, think of like MLB. Like you're expected to lose 22 out of 30 days that you play. So like that really brings things into perspective for me. We really got to like capitalize on those winning days, because if we're doubling our money 8 days out of the month and losing all the other days, like we're in trouble. So keep following the DFS profit plan, and don't get discouraged. Just keep grinding it out. Make sure you're staying within your bankroll parameters, and I encourage you to just keep hammering away and asking questions and trying to get better. So that's my best advice, Rogue. Let me know if you have any follow-up. Gonna get to this question from Petty G here. And you know what? Now that we are in the live version of the app, let's run some lineups and see what we are cooking out here, everybody. So, all right, running 1,500 lineups. Looks like it is building pretty quickly. And I'm really excited for all of the new features that are going to be in this version of the app. So, oh, you know what? I don't think I control shift art. Actually, okay, good. We got the min uniques up here. Got some lineups. I do want to take a minute really quickly to do this. Just do a quick hard refresh and make sure I didn't miss anything along the way. So going to run a new pool, see what this looks like. But anyways, I'm going to get this question going from Teddy G here. Teddy G said, hey guys, do you run research builds for Showdown? If so, do you do it based on the contest you're playing on the general 20 max 10 to 50K settings? Okay, good questions about like test builds for Showdown. So, a lot of times we used to talk about like running a research build, which is essentially like a 0-0-10 build. For Showdown, those are your sliders by default. So it's essentially like one in the same. You're just running like a kind of like a test build, kind of seeing what the lineups look like, etc. I personally like to run my first build with like no lineup restrictions. So I'll set like my min salary to 0. I'll set my max salary to 50,000, and then I'll run the max lineups I can build, which is 1,500 in this case. So I wouldn't run it like if you're playing like a single entry, your sliders are going to come down. I would just run a 0-0-10 and make sure that you're not capping the builder, and just let the builder give you the optimals and kind of dissect that information, and then return to your contest settings and then build for your contest. That way you just kind of get like an unadjusted view of the sims that the builder is giving you, and you get to see those like quote unquote like optimal lineups in your set of 1,500. So that's one way I like to think about it. One thing I also like to do is, instead of looking at like the top 20 or whatever it may be, I like to open this up to the full pool. You can see pool exposure over here on the right, but I just like to have it right over here. I mean, I guess I could drag it, but anyways, it's fine either way. Tomato, tomato. Do it however you want. But those are things that I like to adjust before running an initial build, especially for showdowns. So happy to talk more about it if you have any follow up. And I'm going to move on to this next question from Sammy. So Sammy said, hola, Andrew. Is there a way to go through the late swap? Because I've been having the hardest time the past 3 weeks. I go to the contests and run as is with and without checking the out players, and still getting errors no matter the site. Thanks. P.S. I saw something saying that, I saw Fail Mary saying that he re-uploaded the contest. Should I do that? And does the final Sims run also 1 hour before lock on the afternoon slates, being smaller slates as it is? Okay, good questions here, Sammy. I'm sure this will help out other people as well. So this is like sport based. So for NFL, if the afternoon games all start at 4:25 Eastern, then the final sims will run an hour before still, because inactives still come out 90 minutes before those set of games start. So, the best thing to do is just come into the app, check like the last updated to see if sims have run, check Discord, check the NFL lineup alerts to see if those games have run in like the last like 30 minutes or so. So that's something I would check, make sure that you have like the latest and greatest information. And then the sims usually take about like 7-ish minutes to run, just a side note. So like if you come in at 4:30, like the sims might not have finished. So I would just double check Discord, double check the app, make sure everything's looking good. And then what I would do, so okay, I can't late swap at the moment, but I'm just going to like show you what it would look like. So Sims update, you have the latest and greatest sim. You hit the build icon. After a slate starts, the late swap is automatically toggled on. So, we're just going to, for the sake of this, we're just going to show it. So let's say that you could do a couple things. You can only swap lineups containing out players if there's like a handful of lineups where you have a guy you were barely exposed to, he gets ruled out. You could quick swap them or you could late swap them. So then, you would toggle this on. It'll detect what contests the out player is in, and then it'll just late swap those lineups for those contests, is my understanding how it works. So that's one option. Other option, say you're doing really good in your single entries, and then you're doing really bad in your diversifiers. So you want to like only late swap your like 20 maxes, we'll say. So you can come in here, you could check these, and then you go back to settings. It'll detect the number of lineups that are included in these contests, and then you just hit late swap, and then it'll late swap those, and then you just download the CSV in the late swap, and then go from there. So if you're having trouble with this, though, this is a good point that Fail Mary said. If you're having trouble, what you can do is you can go to DraftKings and you can re-download an entry file. I don't know if you could do it from here. Okay, so what I would do is I would hit upload new entry file, and then I would download the template from DraftKings again. This will have it. This is gonna give you what DraftKings has, because sometimes somewhere along the line things get messed up, and it's better if you're having issues, just go and get whatever DraftKings has, and then you plug that back into the app, and then now Saber Sim and DraftKings will be like synced again. So that's probably what he was saying. I think that's definitely like troubleshooting step number one is like, something's wrong here. Let me just re-download my file from DraftKings and start over, basically. So that's like kind of the start over process. I walked you through the late swap process. It's really similar to just building a build in the first place, just with the green toggle. You can late swap all your lineups by checking them all in. You can late swap just the ones have out players, or you can pick and choose which contests / lineups you want to late swap. So that's the best way to think about it. That's how I would think about it. And let me know if you're having any more issues. All right. Next question here from Jordan Vigo in Discord. Guys, everybody, we are still working through the Discord questions. We will get to all of the YouTube questions. I promise you that. So question says, how does Saber Sim handle correlations in NBA? Are the sliders typically enough to avoid getting two negatively correlated players, or is that something we should handle with groups? Okay, good question, Jordan Vigo. We're going to go over to NBA, and we are going to pull up the 2-gamer for tomorrow. So first things first, we have simulations and we have simulation data. We also get correlation data between the players. So, we click on Joel Embiid. We'll see which players he's positively correlated to, which we'll see which players he is negatively correlated to, which is a lot more than he is positively correlated to looking through this. So when you go to build lineups, if you click this manual mode, you'll see what we value for correlation. So, say you're playing like the big $5 150 max. So our slider back testing is telling us that, hey, correlation is not that important in short slates like this 2-gamer. So what it's saying, so what happens is like, we run the sims, we bucket the sims, we get the lineups and the players' projections, and then we either apply like an ownership fade metric to them or a correlation metric to them. So when this is increased, what's going to happen is like the players that a particular player is correlated to will probably show up more often. You'll get some like stacks, mini stacks, things like that. When this is off, we're essentially disregarding these correlation values because of the contest dynamics. If we go to, I think the 11 gamers in here now. No. So we can't see the 11 gamer yet, but we'll see this in days to come. When we start adding games to the slates, correlation then will become more important. This is like closer to a showdown than it is to a classic slate. So that's why the correlation is on 0, and we're going heavy on the ownership fade, which is like what we were talking about earlier about like just being very careful with how highly owned your lineups are. So like what I was talking about are things that Saber Sim already understands and things that are already worked into the settings. So you should feel comfortable knowing Saber Sim is like looking at this screen is telling you how Saber Sim thinks you should approach the slate. Like disregard correlation, whether somebody is negatively correlated or positively correlated, the EV effect of that is essentially neutral, because we probably need pretty close to the optimal or like a high scoring lineup that is lowly owned to take this down. So, it's like, instead of worrying about correlation, worry about ownership fade. And we're going to take, we're going to use Sim Diversity 10 to use single sim optimals, to try and take down this contest. So that's kind of what Saber Sim thinks about correlation on this particular slate. On other slates, correlation might be up, and Saber Sim will take into account player correlations from the player correlation data. But I think it's safe to say, going back to your original question, that Saber Sim understands how to handle correlation and the best way to handle them. So I don't think you need to spend your time making groups and trying to avoid negative correlations, because SaberSim understands those things out of the box. So long-winded answer for saying that SaberSim understands correlation. All right. Moving on to a question from Texas Illini, and says, I don't know why, but I am trying to see the new Min Unique, and my screen looks like the old one, the Min Unique, not on step 3. And then Matt commented and said, if you're already in the app, do a Control/Command if you're on Mac. So it's Control-Shift-R for Windows, Command-Shift-R for Macs, and you should be able to reload the app and see all of the new features. So just a side note for everyone out there watching, messing with the app, why isn't it looking right? Give that a shot, and everything should come up appropriately. But that being said, that was our last Discord question. Happy to get through those, and going to be jumping over to YouTube chat. So question here from Max. Max said, hi, I am back on SaberSim, was on other projections for a few months with NBA starting tomorrow. Can you explain the application of the new rules things new rules things you would do? Okay, so Max, happy to have you back, and happy to talk about all of our new features. We've been working on a lot of things behind the scenes. What I will point you to first, just for like an overview of the new SaberSim lineup rules dashboard, is a quick video that Jordan did. He explains it in really, really good detail here. And if you go to our YouTube, you go to this Unleash the Power of SaberSim's new DFS lineup builder rules. It's a 13-minute video. He gives examples for different sports and just walks through all the new features in a lot of great detail. This video will explain how to use the new rules feature. I think it's very helpful. I don't think it's necessary if that's something you're thinking about. You don't have to use it on a day-to-day basis. It's there as an extra layer of control for users who are missing those one or two things that they think that they really want to see in their lineup portfolio. So, you can come over here, and I would suggest playing around with this, seeing what it looks like, seeing what it does. You might break something. If you do, that's okay. Just delete the rule and start over. So mess around with the lineup rules. After watching the video from Jordan, I think it's really insightful, and I would go from there. All right, question from Michael Wilkerson. Is there going to be an office hours for NBA tomorrow? So we're going to have office hours. You can ask any NBA questions you want. Happy to talk about NBA as much as you guys want. I know Jordan is working with Max Steinberg to have Max come on and do an NBA focused show. I don't know where exactly that's at, but I know that Max is always willing to help out, and when he has the time. So stay tuned for more information on the stream with Jordan and Max to see if that is coming. But we're trying to make it happen. Have a lot of great resources from last year. Check out NBA DFS playlist on our YouTube channel to brush up on anything from last year. But if you have any specific questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. Okay, question for Max. Did not notice was only NFL. I would be attending for NBA. Me too, for sure. So happy to hear that. And scrolling down here, Sam, another kind of NBA strategy question. Will there be a new strategy show for NBA? Just answer that, and stay tuned for more details. As soon as we have something lined up, we will let you guys know right away. Question here from Ryan Nelson. NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, esports, all going on. Fall is the best time for DFS. Ryan, couldn't have said it better myself. A ton of stuff going on. The team is hard at work behind the scenes. I'll tell you that. Always trying to push out new features. updates, just give you guys everything you need and everything you guys want sometimes too, to just get the most out of your DFS process. So it's a fun time. I suggest, trying out new sports. The Saber Sim builder is in a better spot than ever to support all of these different things. So, keep plugging away and enjoy it. Enjoy it is what I will say. Dante said, "Hey, Big Drew, if I use the unique random fill, do I need to expand the pool to 500 before downloading or leave it at 20 for a 20 max and it'll randomly fill from the entire pool of 500?" Okay, Dante, this is a good question, and this is definitely worth clarifying. So we're going to go to the showdown for tonight and just use this as an example. So if I come up here and I have, we'll say 20. We'll go back to like what you were talking about. And then I'm going to make some updates here. Okay, so I have my 20 lineups for my contest. If I go to fill, what's going to happen? Even if I uniquely random fill these, let's get rid of all the ones that it matches because it'll make it a little easier to understand. So I'm just going to uniquely random fill all of my contests that are either like 3 max or single entry. What will happen is I have 8 entries, 8 lineups for these entries. So if I hit unique random fill, it'll randomly take 8 out of the 20 lineups and put them in here. If I do that for my 20 maxes, it doesn't really matter if I unique random, unique rank, or rank fill a 20 max because there's only 20 lineups available. So even though I built 1,500 lineups in my pool, the number of lineups that I'm looking at is only 20. So, I could rank fill this, I could unique rank, or I could unique random. It's essentially all the same because there's only 20 lineups available. If you did what you said, where if I go to number of lineups 500, now if I were to come in here and uniquely random fill like 20 lineups, it would pick a random 20 from the whole pool of 500 and then fill those in. My personal opinion is that that's like a little too much risk because you don't know, your lineup pool is just so big, and what you see for your exposures might not reflect what you end up getting in your lineup pool because the 20 is just such a small subset of the 500 total that I would encourage you to like say, what I would rather do is I would rather check all my lineups. Okay, I have 258 lineups. Let me set this to 258. That way I know that I get at least a unique lineup in every entry for all of my contests. Base my exposures off of that and then come in here. If I were to uniquely random fill all of these, I would know that each lineup got used one time because the number of lineups and the number of entries matches. So that's how I would think about it. Let me know if you have any follow-up there, Dante. All right. Question from Jeff. Is the new unique setting in starter or just for advanced members? Jeff, that is a good question that I do not know the answer to. So I will check with Matt and the team. If Matt is still watching, Matt can probably answer for us on stream, but I do not know the answer. I'll have to check. So I'm going to make a note here to say, get back to Jeff on if the min unique is included in starter or only advanced. So good question there. And I will address that at the beginning of tomorrow's show. Usually anytime there's a question I don't know the answer to, we do like a little housekeeping before starting the show the next day where we hit any questions that came in yesterday that needed a follow-up. So good question there. I will definitely touch on it tomorrow. But that being said, we are caught up in YouTube chat. We are caught up in Discord. If you guys have any final thoughts, questions that you guys want to get off your chest, get them in the queue now. Like Ryan said, awesome time to be playing DFS. And if you're not a member of Saber Sim, now's the perfect time to get in. Got a showdown tonight, got NBA starting tomorrow, got hockey, got esports, got football. So I would use the link below, start your 7-day, no strings attached, free trial. Just pushed builder updates from beta to live. So you're getting the latest and greatest version of the app. And I would hop into our Discord and start getting in on all the conversations between the community. It's an awesome place to be and just be a fly on the wall. Don't even have to participate. So I would definitely get in the Discord and see what all the action is about. Michael said, hey, Michael, if you have any final questions, get them in now. So I'm going to hang out, see if you have any follow-up there. But that being said, stay tuned for the potential stream with Jordan and Max. More details to come on that. But that being said, everybody, we'll be right back tomorrow to answer any questions before NBA kicks off. If you guys are having any questions you need answered tonight, throw them in the Office Hours channel. I'm around. Other team members are around. If you guys are having issues with the app, get it into the support channel, and the team is happy to answer them there. So Michael said, I have a question. So Michael, I'll stick around until your question comes in, and we can go from there. But, just gonna give Michael a minute or two here, everybody. So, grab a drink of water. Maybe we'll throw an ad right here in the video. Just kidding. Okay. Michael said, how many uniques on single game NFL for FanDuel? So Michael, Rogue, I believe it was Rogue, asked a question about this, or it was Pippin. I think it was Pippin Ain't Easy asked a question about this. I wouldn't think so much about this many unique players for Showdown specifically. One, because there's less players in a lineup, 6 compared to 9. And 2, we are really searching for like those, the optimal lineup, those single sim optimals. And, if I really don't think this combats like duplication as well as like a geo-mean rule does. So this is more for like inter lineup diversification, but I don't think you should be thinking so much about inter lineup diversification in Showdown particularly. And like some people might disagree with me there, but I think, Showdown is like a highly variant game. And I think like the best thing to do is to play a smaller amount of your bankroll on Showdown because the games are so variant. And, Max came on last week or earlier this, Friday, came on Friday to talk about his Millie win on the Thursday night Showdown. And, he had like 60% Justin Fields. And I'm not saying, you need 60% of any player to win. I'm just saying that, trying to spread out with min uniques is not like at a high priority on my priority list when it comes to Showdowns in particular. I think it's okay to be more concentrated, especially when you're playing less bankroll, which I would recommend. And I would rather use like some rules or like some geo-mean stuff or product ownership to try and make sure that you're combating duplication in contests where duplication is important, like the Millie Maker. It's not something you need to think so much about in like single entry contests or things like that. So those are my thoughts on min uniques for Showdown. It's a really new feature, and I might go back to the team and, they might tell me that, hey, we think it has a lot of great use cases for single game Showdown as well. And I'm always open to having my mind changed, especially with like new things, because there's a lot of moments where you go, hey, I didn't think about it that way before. That really makes sense. And then you start to implement that into your process. So these are just like my initial thoughts on all of these new features. And I'm going to be formulating new opinions, trying different things out. I encourage you guys to do the same. And if you want to come back and say, hey, Andrew, no, I think you're wrong. I think it's a great use for X, Y, and Z. I'll look at that with an open mind and say, hey, you're right. That's awesome. Or like, hey, I still disagree. So I'm always open to having those good DFS conversations. So those are my thoughts. And let me know if you have any follow-up in the Office Hours channel in Discord. And until tomorrow, I will see you all. Take care.